Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's your favorite program, I hope it is right now, Intensive Feminine Health, and I am Dr. Jennifer Barimah. Of course, I represent Intensive Rescue Foundation International, which is an NGO that we founded 8 years ago. But today we're talking about breast cancer, and remember, like we said yesterday, that September is the month of ovarian cancer awareness. But as we talked about ovarian cancer yesterday, today we'll be focusing on breast cancer. Now, what is breast cancer? Breast cancer occurs as a result of the growth of abnormal cells that have the ability to invade or spread to other parts of the body. These abnormal cells originate within the breast tissue. Breast cancer most commonly develops in the cells from the lining of the milk ducts and the lobus that supplies milk to the ducts. Now, these are the same ducts and lobus that we breastfeed our babies from. And so it is important that, ladies and gentlemen, especially the ladies, you listen to us carefully today. Now, what are the breast statistics in Nigeria, or breast cancer statistics in Nigeria? Breast cancer is the number one malignant killer of women in Nigeria and accounts for 16% of all cases. 100,000 new cases were diagnosed in 2016. There's 10% survival rate in Nigeria, which is terribly very poor. 90,000 women die annually from breast cancer. Late presentation in Nigeria is a very major factor for the poor survival rate. Now, how is breast cancer diagnosed? The diagnosis of breast cancer is confirmed by taking a biopsy of the concerning lump. Now, remember that we said that breast cancer forms in the ducts of the breast, which is the milk that supplies our babies. Now, the first thing that a woman notices about breast cancer is a lump in her breast. Now, for breast cancer to be confirmed, that lump is taken and a biopsy is done on the breast to confirm whether it is malignant, meaning if it is cancerous or if it is benign, and the diagnosis is done based on that biopsy. What about the global statistics? We just looked at the Nigerian statistics. What about the global statistics for breast cancer? Here we go. Breast cancer is also the leading type of cancer in women and accounts for 25% of all cases globally. 1.7 million new cases were diagnosed in 2012. Out of that 1.7 million, I beg your pardon, 522,000 women died from breast cancer in 2012. 80 to 90% of women affected in developed countries survived beyond 5 years after treatment. You can see that this survival rate is better than that in Nigeria because in the developed world, women seek medical attention earlier. It is more common, of course, in developed countries because of their lifestyle and their refined foods. 100 times more common in women, that is the breast cancer, although men also develop breast cancer. It is rare, but it happens. Now, worldwide, that is globally, more than 15 million women are affected by this terrible, terrible disease. What are the signs? I'm sure this is what everybody wants to listen to. What are the signs of breast cancer? So we have lump in the breast, which we mentioned earlier. Lump also in the armpits. Change in the shape of the breast. Dimpling of the skin of the breast. What is dimpling? Some people may be wondering. Dimpling is when you have the skin appearing as if it's the skin of an orange. All those little dots, those little dimplings on the orange. You also have fluid discharge from the nipple. You have red or scaly patch of skin on the breast, as well as a sore or an ulcer that has refused to heal. You have applied all sorts of ointments, whether traditional, whether orthodox, whether unorthodox, but that ulcer has just refused to heal. It may be time to go check out, proper diagnosis from a qualified physician to find out if it is an ulcer due to some underlying malignancy or if it is indeed breast cancer. What are the signs of distant metastasis when this breast cancer has spread from beyond the breast? You have bone pain. You have swollen lymph nodes all over the body. You have shortness of breath, inability to hold your breath because fluid collection is beginning to occur in the lungs. And you also have yellowish discoloration of the skin. Now, let's take a little break, and when we come back, we'll fill you in on the risk factors. See you when we come back.
I like that empty cup.
Welcome back from that lovely break. This coffee, I can tell you, is delicious and warm. Okay, we talked about the signs of breast cancer. We told you about the lump in the breast, the lump in the armpit, the dimpling of the skin, the discharge from the nipple. The discharge could be, red, that is signifying blood. It could be dark brown, it could be colorless. But the moment you begin to notice these symptoms or these signs, you need to go as a matter of urgency to see the doctor. Okay, now what are the risk factors? The risk factors, the first one is being a female. Just being a woman and having those gorgeous, organs on your chest makes you susceptible to breast cancer. What about obesity? Being overweight? If you're with your, BMI more than 29, that means you're obese, so you need to go do something about weight loss. Like myself right here on this program, I used to be bigger than this. I used to be like 105, but as I'm sitting here and talking to you, I'm like 80 kg, but I'm still working on it because I need to get to my goal weight, which is about 68 kg. So I need to still lose some, weight. But not everybody can lose weight easily. If you need help with weight loss, then maybe you can contact me, because right here on this program, we're still going to talk about weight loss. We are digressing a bit, so let's go back to, the risk factors for breast cancer. We talked about being female, number 1, being overweight, number 2, sedentary lifestyle. What is sedentary lifestyle? Lack of physical exercise. You just want to sit all day, you lie down all day, do nothing. That does not do good for you, it doesn't do good for your heart, it doesn't do good for your breast. And so we're trying to avoid breast cancer, and so we're looking at the risk factors. So we've talked about being female, being overweight, lack of physical exercise. What about alcohol consumption? Alcohol consumption is a critical risk factor, and as well as smoking at an early age. That is a critical risk factor, and that is something that we do not want to, expose ourselves to. What about hormone replacement therapy during, menopause? A lot of people do not know that, in as much as they cannot stand the difficulty of being menopausal, and they want to replace the hormones that they have lost as a result of, aging, they go and replace the hormones through hormonal, replacement therapy. That is a risk factor for breast cancer. There are other ways you can handle your menopause. A lot of people cannot handle it, so they go for that option. But the doctors will always tell you that there is a high chance of, being infected or being, contacting or, developing breast cancer if you choose to go that route. So remember what I just said, hormone replacement therapy during menopause is also a risk factor for developing breast cancer. What about ionizing radiation? It can be from any source. It can be from, overdose of X-rays, or, the rays from MRI, or the rays from a CT scan, or the rays from something that you're not even familiar with that can cause, breast cancer. So we have to be careful where we go. And remember, whenever you go to take your X-rays, they tell you, put your face at a certain place, put your body at a certain place, wear this shield so that you do not get more, ionization that you need. You should listen to those kind of instructions, because right here on this show, you are hearing it that ionizing radiation is also a risk factor for developing breast cancer. What about early age at menarche? What is menarche, you may ask me? Menarche means the first time a young girl sees her period. If a young girl sees her period at an early age, say 9 years old, because the average age in Nigeria is like between 13 to 15. But if a young girl sees her period at the age of 9, she may be at risk of developing breast cancer in future. What about nulliparity? Some women get married and decide that they do not want to have kids, maybe because they do not want to spoil their beautiful shape. That is a risk factor for breast cancer. Some people may try very hard, to get pregnant, but it doesn't happen for them. That is also a risk for breast cancer. So we have to be very careful what we wish for and what is going on in our lives. What about having kids at a late age, above 40? It's also a risk for breast cancer. What about older age group? Breast cancer, of course, can occur in any age, from below 20 to above 20, but mostly we see it between 54 and 74 years of age. And so being in that age group is also a risk factor. So every woman must learn to look for the signs of breast cancer and to self-examine their gorgeous God-given breasts to be sure that they are keeping them safe and they're keeping them free from breast cancer. Because like we said on this show yesterday, early detection is the key. Early detection is the key. If you do the breast self-examination, I'm going to explain how that is done in a few minutes. You do the breast self-examination every month, you will definitely catch the earliest sign of breast cancer. And when I say early detection, it means when a disease entity is caught at the earliest possible time, then the cure rate is also very high. The ability of the doctors to combine either surgery, radiation therapy, chemotherapy, breast conservation therapy to help with the management of that particular case will save the person's life, and the outcome will be a lot better. The outcome may even be 100%, and that 5-year survival rates that they have in the United States from 85 to 90% can also occur here in Nigeria if we can present early at the hospitals. Also, the other risk factor is family history. Family history is very key. 10 to 15% of breast cancers in the world that occur in women or happen in women or develop in women is as a result of a prior family member, especially a mother or an auntie, having breast cancer. I recently lost a family friend to breast cancer, and I can tell you it wasn't an easy battle. For her case, she was diagnosed at the wrong time. She actually went on time to the hospital, but unfortunately, the doctors she met saw that she was from an elite family and decided to capitalize on her predicament, telling her it was one entity or the other, without telling her specifically that it was breast cancer. And by the time the breast cancer was actually diagnosed, it had spread to the other breasts, spread to the lymph nodes, and she was buried last month. May her soul rest in peace, and may the souls of all those who have lost their lives to breast cancer rest in peace. But like I said earlier, early detection is the key. If we can present early at the hospitals, if we can learn to self-examine our breasts, then the death rates of breast cancer, remember I said in Nigeria, 10% only survive. And if we have 100,000 annual new cases, that means 90,000 women die, and only 10,000 women make it out of the 100,000. And that is a terrible statistic for anybody to bear. Now, what is the next thing that we're going to talk about today? We're going to talk about preventive measures for breast cancer. What are the preventive measures? I just spoke to you right now about breast self-examination. This is number one. Every month you examine your breasts. It's quite easy to do. You go in front of the mirror, you position yourself, you remove your clothes, remove your underwear, that is your brassiere or your bra. You put one of your right arms on your waist. If you're going to examine the right breast, put your right arms on your waist, your right arm on your waist, use your left hand and just touch the breast. Up, down, left, right, middle. Up, down, left, right, middle. You go in a circular motion and feel for anything that is not normal. Remember, you need to do this before your period and after your period. Why do we say before or after your period? We say this because during the period, the breast becomes engorged, and you can feel some lumps that are not breast cancer lumps. They are as a result of the changes occurring at that period when you're going to see your menstruation. That is what happens. So after that, before your period, you check your breast. After your period, you check your breast to be sure that nothing is happening. Now, before you go, examine the breast in a circular motion, you need to look at the physical appearance of the breast, because remember when we said earlier that you have physical changes. The nipple may the nipple that used to be outward facing will become introverted. The skin of the breast becomes like the skin of an orange. You can notice a sore that has refused to heal, or something like a pimple that you've never seen before. You need to go be sure that that is not the earlier signs of breast cancer. You can even notice a discharge that was colorless at a point, and then became dark brown at another point, and then frank blood at another time. So you need to be sure that all of this is not going on in your breast, not just the lump. If you notice any of these, then you need to go quickly to see your physician. And you remember, you do not see a regular physician. You need to see a gynecologist. That is who you see, who will be sure that he knows what he's doing and take you through the right processes. Now, mammogram is another preventive measure. Is a machine that is used to check for breast lump at the earliest stage. People also take what they call tamoxifen and relaxofen, that people take as a preventive measure, especially if you have gone through the genetic programming to be sure that you do not have the breast cancer genes. So if you have the breast cancer gene, tamoxifen is given as a preventive measure. Also, there's elective removal of the breasts if there's a family history of breast. Remember, famously, Angelina Jolie removed both her breasts after her mother died from breast cancer, and after she did the gene therapy and found out that she also had the genes for breast cancer, she removed her breast electively without even having any sign or symptoms of breast cancer. What about the treatment for breast cancer? We already mentioned that it's surgery. During the surgery process, they can conserve your breasts, keep the parts that are good, leave the parts that are affected. Mastectomy, remove all of the breast, and then they can do a breast reconstruction, and you may even have better breasts than you ever had if you go that way. So there's also radiation therapy, chemotherapy, hormonal therapy, and targeted therapy. Note that in those whom the cancer has spread to other parts of the body, treatments are mostly aimed at improving the quality of life and comfort, because at this point there's nothing that the doctors can do, because the person is just waiting for a few months or weeks to go meet her maker. Now, outcomes for breast cancer vary depending on the cancer type, extent of disease, and the person's age. So if we put all of this we have learned today together, we'll be sure to make sure that breast cancer is not our portion, like we say here in Nigeria. Until I come away tomorrow, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you for watching.